Imagine being dropped into the heart of enemy territory, outnumbered 5-1 with no escape route. Would you have the courage to stand and fight? This is the true story of Hal Moore and the Battle of Ia Drang, a confrontation that changed the course of military history. Lieutenant Colonel Hal Moore was no ordinary soldier. A West Point graduate and seasoned officer, he believed in leading from the front. In November 1965, during the escalating conflict in Vietnam, Moore was given command of the 1st Battalion, 7th Cavalry Regiment. Their mission was to find and engage the North Vietnamese forces in the Central Highlands. The Ia Drang Valley was an uncharted hostile landscape, a mix of dense jungle and open clearings, making it both a tactical nightmare and a potential advantage. On November 14th, Moore and his men boarded helicopters, pioneering the concept of air cavalry. This new tactic aimed to deploy troops quickly and catch the enemy off guard. As they touched down at landing zone X-ray, the initial calm was deceptive. Scouts reported enemy movement, but before adjustments could be made, the battalion was attacked. The North Vietnamese army had been watching, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Moore's men were soon engulfed in a ferocious battle, surrounded with no easy means of retreat. Communication was critical. Moore set up his command post in the thick of the action, refusing to be sheltered from the dangers his men faced. He coordinated artillery support, directing fire missions that required pinpoint accuracy to avoid hitting his own troops. The air support pilots, nicknamed Sky Soldiers, flew dangerously low, delivering napalm and machine gun fire to suppress enemy advances. The situation grew dire when one platoon, led by Lieutenant Henry Herrick, was cut off from the main force. Surrounded and taking heavy casualties, they were dubbed the Lost Platoon. Despite the risk, Moore attempted multiple rescue missions. His commitment to his soldiers was unwavering, embodying his motto, "In the absence of orders, go find something and kill it." As night fell, the battlefield transformed into a haunting tableau. Flashes of gunfire pierced the darkness, and the sounds of battle echoed ominously. Sleep was a luxury none could afford. Moore moved among his men, offering words of encouragement and ensuring defensive positions were secure. On the second day, enemy forces intensified their attacks. The heat was oppressive, and the lack of water began to take its toll. Dehydration and fatigue threatened to undermine the soldiers' effectiveness. Moore requested emergency resupply missions. Helicopters braved enemy fire to drop canteens of water and crates of ammunition, lifelines that kept the battalion fighting. Journalist Joe Galloway, who had arrived to cover the battle, found himself in the midst of the chaos. Witnessing the heroism and horror firsthand, he later remarked on Moore's leadership. He was always where the fighting was fiercest, sharing the danger and inspiring his men. The North Vietnamese commanders were determined to overrun the American position. They launched a massive human wave assault, a tactic designed to overwhelm through sheer numbers. Moore anticipated this and adjusted his defenses accordingly. He ordered the use of Broken Arrow, a code signaling that an American unit was in danger of being overrun and requiring all available aircraft to provide support. The sky filled with jets and bombers, unleashing a torrent of firepower. The ground shook as explosives decimated enemy formations. This desperate measure turned the tide, inflicting heavy casualties on the attackers. By the third day, the battalion had held their ground, but the cost was high. Bodies of fallen comrades and enemy soldiers lay across the battlefield. The arrival of reinforcements from the 2nd Battalion, 7th Cavalry, provided much-needed relief. Together, they conducted a sweep of the area, pushing the remaining enemy forces back. However, the battle was not over. As the soldiers moved to a new landing zone, they were ambushed once again in what became known as the Battle of Landing Zone Albany. Casualties were severe, reminding everyone of the relentless nature of the conflict. The Battle of Ia Drang was a seminal moment in the Vietnam War, the first major engagement between U.S. forces and the North Vietnamese Army. Hal Moore's leadership and innovative tactics under extreme pressure showcased the potential and limitations of air mobility warfare. The battle revealed the determination of the North Vietnamese and foreshadowed the protracted nature of the war. It prompted the U.S. military to reassess its strategies, understanding that technological superiority did not guarantee victory against a resolute and adaptive enemy. Hal Moore's dedication to his men left an indelible mark. His insistence on leaving no one behind and his personal bravery became lessons in leadership studied by military professionals worldwide. The experiences at Ia Drang were immortalized in the book We Were Soldiers Once and Young, co-authored by Moore and Galloway, ensuring that the stories of sacrifice and valor would not be forgotten. In reflecting on the battle, Moore said, "Hate war, but love the American warrior." His words encapsulate the complex emotions surrounding the conflict, a mix of honor, tragedy, and the human cost of war. The legacy of Hal Moore and the Battle of Ia Drang serves as a powerful reminder of the courage required in the face of overwhelming adversity. It challenges us to consider the true price of freedom and the qualities that define true leadership.